Welcome to Breakthrough Minds. I'm your host, Jack. Today we're exploring one of the most fascinating stories in scientific history. What if I told you that some of the most revolutionary theories in physics weren't developed in a prestigious university lab, but in a patent office by a clerk working his day job? With us today is Professor James Maxwell, a science historian who spent years studying Einstein's remarkable journey. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jack. It's great to be here. And you've already touched on what makes Einstein's story so extraordinary, this idea that groundbreaking genius can emerge from the most unexpected places.
Let's start with something that might surprise many of our listeners. Einstein wasn't exactly what you'd call a model student, was he?
Not at all, Jack. In fact, Einstein's relationship with formal education was complicated from the start. He was deeply curious but often resistant to traditional teaching methods. He famously said that learning comes from solving hard problems, not attending classes.
That's quite a statement from someone who would later revolutionize physics. How did this attitude toward formal education shape his early career?
Well, it led him down a rather unconventional path. After graduating, Einstein actually struggled to find an academic position. This led him to take a job at the Swiss Patent Office, a position that many might have seen as a step away from scientific pursuits.
But it turned out to be quite the opposite, didn't it?
Exactly. Einstein called the patent office a worldly cloister where he hatched his most beautiful ideas. The regular hours and relatively straightforward work actually gave him something precious, time and mental space to think deeply about physics.
It's fascinating how what might seem like a career setback became the perfect environment for developing revolutionary theories. But James, how did he manage to develop such complex theories while working full-time?
That's actually one of the most remarkable aspects of Einstein's story, Jack. His work at the patent office required analyzing technical documents and understanding mechanical devices. This actually complemented his theoretical thinking in unexpected ways.
In what way did examining patents influence his scientific thinking?
The patent work trained him to break down complex problems into their fundamental principles. He was constantly evaluating ideas about time synchronization and electrical coordination, themes that would become crucial in his theory of relativity.
And this brings us to 1905, what scientists now call Einstein's miracle year. Can you paint a picture for our listeners of what made this year so extraordinary?
Picture this: a 26-year-old patent clerk, working 8 hours a day, comes home and produces not just one, but 4 revolutionary papers that would fundamentally change our understanding of the universe.
4 papers? That's incredible productivity even for a full-time academic, let alone someone with a day job.
Absolutely. And these weren't just ordinary research papers. Each one was groundbreaking in its own right. He explained the photoelectric effect, which would later earn him the Nobel Prize. He provided definitive proof for the existence of atoms through his work on Brownian motion. And then, of course, there was special relativity and the famous E=mc².
Let's pause on that for a moment. How does someone working in a patent office develop something as revolutionary as the theory of relativity?
What's fascinating is that Einstein's outsider status might have actually helped. He wasn't constrained by academic orthodoxy or institutional pressures. He was free to question fundamental assumptions that others took for granted.
So in a way, being removed from the academic establishment was an advantage?
Exactly. Einstein once said that his distance from academic life gave him the courage to question accepted theories. He could think about problems purely on their own terms, without worrying about academic politics or conventional wisdom.
That's a powerful lesson about the value of independent thinking. But surely there must have been challenges in developing such complex theories without the resources of a university.
There were definitely challenges, Jack. Einstein didn't have access to sophisticated laboratory equipment or a community of fellow physicists to bounce ideas off. But he turned these limitations into advantages by focusing on what he called thought experiments.
Could you explain what these thought experiments were?
One of his most famous thought experiments involved imagining what would happen if you could chase after a beam of light at the speed of light. What would light look like if you caught up with it? These seemingly simple questions led to profound insights about the nature of light and space-time.
It's amazing how such fundamental questions could lead to such revolutionary theories. But I'm curious about his daily routine. How did he manage his time between his job and his theoretical work?
Einstein was actually very disciplined with his time. He would work at the patent office from 8 to 5, then return home to focus on physics until late in the evening. He called the patent office his secular monastery. It provided both financial stability and a structured environment that allowed his mind to wander into these deep theoretical spaces.
That's such a powerful image, a secular monastery. It almost suggests that routine work can create a kind of meditation space for creative thinking.
Precisely. And here's what's particularly interesting. The very skills he used at the patent office, analyzing technical problems and visualizing mechanical processes, helped him develop his revolutionary theories. His day job wasn't just providing financial support, it was actually contributing to his scientific thinking.
This reminds me of something we discussed earlier, his resistance to traditional education. Do you see a connection between his independent learning style and his success working outside academia?
Absolutely. Einstein had developed a strong capacity for self-directed learning early in life. He was comfortable working through complex problems on his own, which served him well during those solitary evening hours of theoretical work.
Looking at Einstein's story from our modern perspective, what lessons can we draw about innovation and creative thinking?
One of the most important lessons is that breakthrough innovations don't always come from expected places or follow traditional paths. Einstein showed that what might seem like limitations, working outside academia, having limited resources, can actually foster the kind of independent thinking that leads to revolutionary ideas.
And what about the role of persistence? After all, he developed these theories over many years while maintaining a full-time job.
Persistence was absolutely crucial, Jack. Einstein spent nearly a decade developing these ideas while working at the patent office. But what's really remarkable is how he maintained his conviction that his theoretical work was important, even when no one else was paying attention.
Did he ever doubt himself during those years?
There were certainly moments of frustration, but Einstein had an unwavering confidence in his approach. He once wrote to a friend that even if no one believed in his theories, he would feel sorry for the theories, not for himself. That kind of intellectual independence is quite extraordinary.
It strikes me that there's almost a modern startup mentality to Einstein's story, working on revolutionary ideas in what amounts to a garage office.
That's an interesting parallel. Just like many modern innovators, Einstein showed that groundbreaking work can happen anywhere. The key ingredients are deep thinking, persistence, and the courage to challenge established ideas.
As we wrap up, James, what do you think is the most important takeaway from Einstein's patent office years?
I think it's the reminder that innovation doesn't always require ideal circumstances. Einstein showed that what matters most is having the mental space to think deeply and the courage to pursue unconventional ideas. His patent office wasn't just a waiting room for better opportunities, it was the perfect environment for his particular type of genius to flourish.
And perhaps there's something powerful about having that regular routine, that steady job, while pursuing revolutionary ideas.
Exactly. The stability of his day job actually enabled his radical thinking. It's a wonderful paradox. The mundane work of reviewing patents provided the foundation for developing theories that would completely transform our understanding of the universe.
It really challenges our assumptions about where and how breakthrough ideas emerge.
And that might be Einstein's most practical lesson for us today. Don't wait for perfect conditions to pursue your ideas. Sometimes, the most revolutionary thoughts can develop in the most ordinary circumstances.
Thank you, James, for sharing these fascinating insights into Einstein's journey. And to our listeners, remember, whether you're working in a patent office, a coffee shop, or anywhere else, revolutionary ideas can emerge from the most unexpected places. Thank you for joining us on Breakthrough Minds.